With all the degrees that you have done, we know that you are an academician, and with your tenure at the space department, we know your research and your scientific abilities. Uh, you are also a spiritual mentor. How did this spirituality get triggered in you, or the travel towards spirituality has been triggered?
It's a long travel actually. When I was doing my PhD
Okay.
in mathematics, I um, have to travel to my hometown from Bangalore or in Hyderabad. When I am in Hyderabad, most of the train will go to Shornur.
Okay.
Northbound trains were very less,
Right.
and we have to wait for other train from south to come towards north
Okay.
to reach Kannur or Payyanur, where my brother's place. That's where I used to go. So Shornur, when I have to wait for some time, there are two bookshops,
Okay.
Higginbotham's and Madhrubhumi publications. That's where I got a book called Ganitha Ratnakaram.
It's on mathematics?
It's on mathematics. That's my first impression.
Okay.
Anybody like you said it's mathematics.
Right.
So I am a PhD in mathematics. So naturally, which is this book I don't know in mathematics, I picked it up. But then the book seller was very strict. He said you cannot open and see. Buy it, then you can see.
Okay.
That was 300 rupees.
Okay.
And my PhD, that was when I was doing PhD.
So which year this was in?
That was in 85, 86.
Okay.
And my stipend was 900 rupees.
Okay.
So 1/3 of my salary I am paying to get a book. But still, I felt I had to buy it. I bought it. And opening, I found it's nothing to do with mathematics.
Okay.
It's regarding Vastu. Right? Having purchased a book, now what do? You have to learn. I learned. Then to learn that book, you have to buy another few books.
Right.
Because that's not the basic. So I went on buying books, learning.
Okay.
So I finished my Vastu, I finished my astrology, because if you want to go learn Vastu, you must learn astrology.
Okay.
Learned astrology. No Vastu expert without astrological knowledge is full. So that made me to learn astrology. But that's not a 1 year, 2 year program. It's almost like 6 years I took for learning this. Because to learn that book, Ganitha Ratnakaram, I had to buy many more books. Because that was not the basic. Not only that I read the book, I went and met the author.
Okay.
See, my hunt for knowledge is never with the books. It's more on human personal interaction.
Okay.
When I have to learn astrology, I had a book from Muthuswami. He was doing a correspondence program.
Okay.
But my interest was not just a correspondence program. In my home native, we have a very traditional astrologer who must not have done any course on astrology. But he knows how to predict. So when I started learning, my interest was going and meeting him, talking to him. Then I found the method of curing some problems which you have generally is through healing practices.
Ayurvedic?
Healing practices is not physical healing.
Okay.
Like crystal therapy, your feng shui. There are different methods from different part of the world.
Right.
I started hunting all that. The pariharam. Pariharam is how to get rid of the problems which you have.
Right.
For which general prescriptions are either some maybe puja. Then I found Indian Vedic system, which we have like temples and pujas. All of them are healing for your houses.
Right.
So I related Vastu and Agama Shastram. Agama Shastram is construction of temples.
Okay.
So I learned Agama Shastram. I learned astrology. All of them end up in a place where is called the Devam, the God, the concept of Bhagavan, Ishwar. And that was a migration, fast learning of all these things together. So I used to go to pujaris to learn how they do puja, learned many mantras, right? So I started learning whatever possible things around this. So I learned most of the therapies,
Okay.
Rudraksha therapy,
Okay.
and maybe you have got Tantra, Mantra, Yandra. People keep some no geometries inside your house.
Right.
So I learned about Yantra. That's called Yandra. Mudra.
Okay.
All the puja vidhi. When you learn, automatically you have to learn the mudras.
Right.
So it went into Indian system of learning is such when you start somewhere, you start connecting them. It goes on branching out into many things.
Right. Right.
That's how I got introduced into many things.
Okay.
But then I used to listen to many people.
Okay.
So one of the great personality whom I listened, who I wanted him to stay with me, he came and stayed in Hyderabad.
Okay.
I went around him, I arranged his program. So I was doing a person arranging somebody's program. I had to go to different places. I remember when he has to come, I had to pay his airfare. That was almost 4 times than my salary. I paid that money from my pocket. I got his cassettes, duplicated by myself, recorded in my house. Using my own, I'll purchase free cassettes, record it. I used to sell in different places. I did a salesman's job, got money from that. That money also I paid him.
Okay.
So I was actually propagating him so that I can arrange his lectures. Right? Only interest was I have to listen to him, live with him for 3-4 days.
So
Great
your motivation was
that
learning.
was my learning. 3 days, 40 lectures I arranged in Hyderabad.
Okay.
Can you imagine every 1 hour jumping from IICT to Osmania University to different up to Central University, CCMB, Geophysics Department, IICT, every place in Hyderabad I took him. My intention was to learn from him.
Okay.
But my stay with him actually triggered him. He says, you also know, you can also come to Kerala and then give lectures.
Okay.
And he invited me back to Kerala.
Okay.
Right? And he introduced to me a great person who is a Vedic guru from Kerala, who was a guru for Maharishi Mahayogi in America.
Okay.
A person who knows Tantra Shastram, construction of temples, science of rituals. And he wrote a letter to him saying that meeting Shashikumar will be a great thing. Who was Brahmashri KPC Anijan Bhattadipad, saying that meeting Dr. T.P. Shashikumar will not be a loss for you. He called me back to Kerala for a series of lectures.
Okay.
He made my interview on Asianet
Okay.
and All India Radio,
Okay.
along with my guru, who was introduced by him. It was a single sentence letter. So he came, my guru came to my house to meet me actually. So I still remember, it's a great occasion for some small person in the spiritual world to meet such a great person. But he came to my house, I surrendered myself onto his feet at the entrance itself at the gate. And he gave me the greatest blessing which any student in this world can get. Whatever I learned in my life, whatever my Guru Parampara has taught me, whatever I could gather from my rituals and books, all of them I am pouring on you. So such a great person became my Guru, mentor. I travelled with him to Himalayas, Kailash. He took me to those places. Along with him, I used to go for lot of lectures around. Every lecture was a learning for me. All the discussions I had, I used to record in my cassette, record player. I used to listen to that. Many times I don't understand.
Right.
I used to learn all of them, make questions and go back to him for discussions. I'm sure that gave me a lot of courage to talk to any person in the world. That is the time. In Hyderabad, I got an opportunity to talk. Getting to such a personality, meeting him, talking to him, that gave me a lot of courage to get into anyone in the world. So here there was a defense management college. There I was teaching sometime.
Okay.
So I know the people in defense and the senior most officers. their family members used to be interested in healing practices like Reiki, pranic healing and all that. That was also known to me. So they used to have satsang. That's where one of them introduced me to the Secretary for Defense during that time was one Dr. Veena Maitra. So she was a disciple of Swami Vedabharati. She took me to Vedabharati on email.
Right.
Veena doesn't know who is this person, but she wrote to Vedabharati, who is Swami Rama's disciple,
Okay.
saying that there is a scientist here who is also interested in spirituality. Getting him to Rishikesh Ashram will help developing that center.
Right.
So Swami Vedabharati wrote an email to me saying that why can't you come to Rishikesh? He thought that I am a retired old man. Generally, that's a time when people get into spiritual,
Right.
religious activities. But I was 30, 32 that time.
Right.
Then I said, yes, I will come to you maybe after 40 years. A blunt answer.
Right.
Then I suggested him there is another method, you should have a conference. They never do conferences, ashrams. So I said we should do a conference on pain management and meditation. So I initiated,
Okay.
but that did not happen that fast because he was not free. We got disconnected. But then again I said the flow keeps running. Somewhere there is something called the vidhi or the God's hand. That took me to Calicut University. I was a director of academic staff college. I went to JNU for a program. The UGC CEC Center for learning something on multimedia production and all that. I had a course in UGC. That's a time the same Vedabharati was giving a lecture in India International Center.
Okay.
I barged into that and then I attended his meditation session. At the end of it, it's a great surprise for me. He called from the stage, Shashikumar is inside the audience, come and meet me. So that means he had that vision where I am not a well-known person, my figure is not known to him. But what is that made him to find who is there and who am I, whether I am there for meeting him or not? That's the trance, the influence of spirituality. So I found a great master who could do that.
Okay.
And we had a dinner together. I remember people who are associated with this guru had to wait 20 years to get a minimum discussion time. But the first meeting itself, I got a chance to have a dinner with him.
Okay.
That turned my life to learn what is called a meditation.
Okay.
The real meditation, but not what is publicly available today. It's the real samadhi. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay. So I am meeting a samadhi master with total theoretical understanding in what is samadhi.
Right.
If I didn't had this previous meeting with Brahmastri, I didn't had an introduction, I would have been a normal person who meets my Guru Swami Vedabharati.
Right.
But had that knowledge in me, he recognized me so fast.
Okay.
So he gave all the access to him. So we were very close. I had only few meetings. I met him. I traveled 24 hours to meet him for 2 hours to Chennai. Went to Rishikesh. My posting was in Delhi. Luckily again, I got a posting in Delhi.
Okay.
This happened when I was in Calicut. My next tenure was in Delhi. So Rishikesh was close to me.
Right.
So everything was like a flow. So then I already planned my retirement. The time I joined, almost I have decided I have to retire after 20 years to get into academics.
Okay.
But then this got a turn into both spiritual and academics. So 20 years I took my retirement. Before that I made my all the gadgets ready to get both into academics and spirituality.
Okay.
So I'm parallelly active today.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm basically an academically spiritual person or spiritually academic person or maybe scientifically spiritually academic person
Okay.
or maybe spiritually scientifically academic person. I don't know which is higher, which is lower. I find all of them are mixed. Right? And maybe I had good students. I have good students. Okay. So you are one of my best students who is interested to learn, propagate what I am saying. Lot of people supports. I am now today maybe having talked to thousands of institutions, thousands of spiritual, religious institutions, maybe had interaction with the great gurus, not directly, at least through books, but I understand them totally. I understand the spirit. I had interaction with Ramakrishna Mutt. So Ramakrishna Mutt, Vivekananda Institute for Human Excellence, almost 10 to 12 years. I had at least one lecture per day.
Right.
I had 2-3 lectures per day also. That's a great experience. So that's a great spiritual center. So that introduced me to Vivekananda. So I started learning about Vivekananda. So it kept on growing. Every day there is something which triggers me to something new, some great learning. Yeah.
Okay.
Recently going to US, having taught Bhagavad Gita's 18 chapters, few chapters, few important slokas, but as we progressed, maybe half of Bhagavad Gita totally, every sloka by sloka, interpreting, making the people who are attending the satsang to chant, repeating after me, was a great experience. Right? So
Right.
that's it, nothing more than that.
Okay.